Research Institute, Andishe Online, Germany, AOG. Themes from the University. Theme 9. Perfection Process. Reincarnation or Ascending Method, Part 1. From the perspective of the University of the Perfection Process, the process of mental maturation is considered a very gradual and time-consuming process. In this worldview from the beginning of creation, after passing through the first stages of preparation for the first earthly life, the heavenly soul must experience 1,000 earthly lives, while the sum of both lives is 100 years. Therefore, each soul on average has 50,000 earthly years at its disposal to complete the process of perfection. What can be seen in the first analysis is the fact that patience is an essential attribute of God, because otherwise, a soul would not have enough time to gain the necessary knowledge and experience regarding the process of soul maturation according to the trial and error method, and finally to acquire its perfection. Therefore, it would not be able to know God and to make progress towards His will. An immature and young soul does not yet know its nafs or ego, and therefore it cannot yet control it. This lack of control is why the material world is so attractive to a young soul. As a result, it deviates from the right path. The 50,000 earthly years that God has placed at the disposal of all of us give young souls the opportunity to experience calmly and very slowly, in the course of time and during successive lives, all kinds of pleasant and unpleasant situations, and to learn how to behave correctly in every situation, according to the trial and error method. Moreover, during these 50,000 earthly years, souls recognize that the privileges of the material world do not meet the needs of the soul. On the path to perfection and during the earthly life and afterlife, each soul must internalize 1,000 spiritual worlds, that is, soul stages, and finally reach 40,000 spiritual positions, ranks. Each spiritual world or stage can be compared to a university semester, in which each student must pass a certain number of units comparable to the same spiritual ranks. During this process, every person will one day find out that his home is not on earth but in another place, and that he has to move in the right direction to reach his main goal. God's actions are in no way connected with haste, as is scientifically proven in the creation of the multiverses. This phase lasted thousands of billions of years. Also, according to geologists, the formation of our planet took almost 20 million years. So it would be very unwise to believe that humans have only one life available to complete the process of perfection. It is wise to accept Master Elohim's doctrine that refers to 1,000 consecutive earthly lives. It will then be possible to answer the questions that call into question God's justice. If we assume that according to religious reports only the believers go to heaven, then an inhabitant of the Amazon rainforest who has not even heard of Jesus Christ, Zarathustra, Buddha, Krishna, Moses, or of Muhammad will ask God, "Why didn't you bear me in a Christian, Buddhist, or Muslim family, so that I would not go to hell but to heaven?" In that case, what will God's answer be? How will God really respond to the question of junkies and prostitutes who were born in a brothel and were trapped in a life of forced sex and drug addiction since childhood and died from a number of different sexually transmitted diseases? Won't they ask God, "Why didn't you bring us into the world in a decent family but in such a corrupt environment, where we had to endure all this suffering and now have to go to hell after death because we didn't believe in Jesus Christ or Muhammad? Why didn't you give us the opportunity and enough time to improve ourselves?" Then what can really be God's answer? The question is, can one expect such an unreasonable decision from God? Can such a God be just and praiseworthy at all? There are many such complex problems that cannot be answered in a worldview based on one man, one life theory. In order to answer the question, which led to the formation of the above-mentioned worldview, one has to remember that reincarnation was not able to analyze and scientifically present all the problems discussed above in a reasonable and complete way due to its wrong interpretations. Thus, people have no other choice than to firmly believe in the idea of one man, one life. It was only after Master Elohi published his doctrine that it slowly became clear to some explorers that this worldview should be considered a perfect version of the truth regarding the Creator, creatures, and all of existence. By developing the thesis, Successive Lives with Ascending Method, Master Elohi has succeeded in showing his fellow human beings how souls are transformed into each other in mineral, plant, and animal phases. He also explains the necessity of the basharic or earthly soul at the end of this series of transformations. According to these teachings, this soul is formed from several perfected animal souls, genetic effects, and some of the 7 creation factors. In these interpretations, he explains the ascending course of mental growth in its beginning, intermediate stages, and the end, and the time allotted for this process. Furthermore, he makes clear to us what happens to the soul after each death and after the end of the scheduled time and what fate awaits the soul. As mentioned at the beginning of this article, the subject of the return of souls to Earth has always been vague and mysterious. At best, it has become a reincarnation with 2 major weaknesses. First, the life of the soul on Earth is unlimited in reincarnation. Second, after separation from the previous body, the soul can immediately enter the objects or bodies that are at a lower level of soul maturity. Apart from the other shortcomings of this worldview, this hypothesis does not define an intermediate world or an afterlife. Furthermore, the lack of a certain time for this process is another problem. Master Elohi solved all these problems by presenting the thesis perfection process with the ascending method, and answering all the questions arising out of it. In the second and third parts of this article, we will look at this topic in more details. End of part 1. Research and investigation. Farah Mars Tabish. Source: The Ostad Elohi Works.